DLRs, hey, what's going on? Mike Boards with the Mike Boards channel. Thank you for watching. Hey, we're talking boats. We've got a 3.0 Mercruiser inboard / GM engine, and in today's video, the proper and safe way on how to replace your water pump. Let's get started. We've made our way to the garage, and inside our 89 glass port, we have a 3.0 liter Mercruiser or GM engine or inboard. Step number one, no ifs, ands, buts about it. Let's cut all electrical power to the system for safety purposes, both negative and positive. We will start with the negative. Again, starting with the negative. Followed by the positive. And the large positive cable is on top. I'm going to resecure each of the nuts. At this point, power is fully cut and removed from the system. It is now safe to continue, and directing our attention to that large hose. That is the water pump water hose. As you see, there is the water pump pulley, the serpentine or drive belt, or some call it the alternator belt, looping down around your harmonic balancer, up and over your alternator. And DLR scrolling above it right now, as well as down below in the comments and description, will be a link on how to properly and safely replace your alternator and belt. However, there is the water pump inside there and mating with the engine. Make it away port side of the engine and down in DLRs to alleviate a big water leak up front. As you remove that water pump, I recommend draining your engine, and in our case we've got two plugs. The lower plug right there, just counterclockwise loosen it up and water will flow out of the center. In addition, we've got a plug up top. We remove that too. And ensure that you remove your large or main plug on the bottom portion of the outer hull to allow any water that leaks down here to flow out. You can use a bucket to gather as much water as you can as it runs out. Down to our newly installed alternator, as you can see, we are going to carefully loosen up the tension bolt as well as the large bolt down below and the nut on the back. We need to release the tension on the belt and pull it off the alternator pulley. Coming to the very front of the alternator and down, we have a large 9/16 bolt that feeds, again, all the way on the bottom portion and to the rear, where it is secured in place with the nut. Next, I grab my 1/4-inch ratchet and an extension with a 9/16 deep socket. Got it on the bolt head, coming in from the back side with a 9/16 socket and 3/8 ratchet. I'm going to loosen up the nut. DLRs, you do not actually have to remove the nut and bolt. In fact, you don't want to. You just want to loosen it. Back up top into the front, and now that the lower bolt and nut are loosened up, directing our attention to the 1/2-inch tension bolt. And as I loosen this up, you may see the alternator feed in or shift inward toward the engine, and that's what it's supposed to do. And the tension bolt is loose. If you can pull the belt off the pulley, great. However, in our case, we can't at the moment. We're going to remove this bolt fully. From there, I'm going to shift the alternator in, carefully remove the belt from the pulley. And I'm going to ever so carefully allow the alternator to fall back a little bit. And I will insert that bolt back in. And not tighten it all the way, however, get it into the inner thread of the alternator, just so the alternator doesn't shift down and damage the wiring. Now to a top or more starboard side angle, looking down at the engine. And again, here's the water pump pulley, the belt, the hose, and water pump inside. In DLRs, I'm going to carefully remove the belt from the water pump pulley and shift that down and out of the way. 4 1/2-inch bolts. In DLRs, using a ratchet and socket will be tough because, again, the water pump pulley spins. And because of that, down below in the comments and description will be a link on where to purchase an impact wrench, and again, 1/2-inch in size. I will grab a hold of the water pump pulley and loosen up each of the 1/2-inch bolts. To a more direct and closer view of the bolt securing the water pump pulley onto the water pump, and again, we've got the bolt and a washer. Remove all 4. With the 4 bolts removed, you have the center stud, and that is part of the inner water pump and pulley. Just carefully shift the pulley off. There we go, up and out. There it is. We're now looking directly at the water pump, as you see. And as the engine runs and the belt moves the pulley, it moves the inner blade or mechanism and directs the flow of water to properly cool your engine. Coming into a more port side view, as you see. And we've got 4 bolts that secure the water pump to the engine. Next, we are going to loosen up the lower worm gear clamp that secures the water pump hose to the water pump. The actual screw is a 5/16 head, or you can use a flathead screwdriver. However, we are going to use our 5/16 socket. The clamp is now loose, as you see. And coming up top, we are also going to loosen and back this clamp out so we can remove the hose altogether from both connection points. Coming in with a flathead screwdriver, just be careful if you go this route. You do not want to puncture or create a hole in the hose. All I'm doing is separating the hose from the pump. Look at that. No water, which is good. We drained it properly. Now up top. And DIYers, removing this hose altogether will be personal preference. However, as you can see, we now have much better access to the water pump for removal and install. Take a step back and to a close-up view of the water hose fittings. Definitely rusted, and we will grab a steel brush or brass brush and clean those before we reinstall the hose. However, water pump time and 4 half-inch bolts. With the camera in position, we are going to remove the 4 half-inch bolts. And DIYers, it is extremely imperative or important to stay organized. And what I mean by that is make sure when you remove each of the bolts, you take a good look at the length of them. And that is because they are not all the same length. And when it comes time to install the brand new water pump, you want the exact same bolts going into the exact same holes. I will come down below to the lower bolt and loosen them one at a time. From there, removing the ratchet from the socket and just carefully loosening up each of the bolts. Do not drop them. And again, stay organized. And the upper right is about 1 inch. And the upper is well over 1 inch. No washers on the water pump bolts. From here, come to the opposite side and you can ever so carefully begin shifting or pushing the water pump out from the engine. And it may be on there pretty good. Next, with a rubber mallet, as you see here, and a block of wood, I'll just tap it off. Back port side to retrieve the water pump. And here's the back side of it. And it's making some noise. And inside here is one of the cylinders. And DIYers, down below in the comments and description are all of the parts shown in this video, including this scraper. And as you do this, do your absolute best not to allow any of this debris or remaining gasket to go inside the engine. That would not be good. As you can see, pieces are coming off. In addition, what I'm going to do is just insert a paper towel ever so carefully. It is extremely important to remove all of the remaining portion or leftover gasket that did not come off with the water pump. Because if you don't, and you move forward and install your brand new gasket and pump, well, once you start your engine, you will likely have a leak. Because again, the brand new gasket cannot mate with the block properly. Making progress, removed as much of the old remaining gasket as possible, and just be careful. And wow, the inner portion of that engine is rusted. However, we are next going to grab some lacquer thinner and pour it on a paper towel and clean the mating surface. Here's the exact brand and lacquer thinner we use. Down below in the comments and description will be a link on where to purchase this. DIYers, don't skip this step. Very important. With the lacquer thinner on the towel, again, just carefully rub the mating surface and clean up as much of this portion as you can. To a closer view in DIYers, after you clean the mating surface of the block and prepare it for the new water pump, in our case coming up, we are going to use a steel brush and clean the rust and corrosion off of that water fitting. Again, down below in the comments and description are links to the parts. Out of the boat and to a close-up view of the fully removed water pump. Now directing our attention to the brand new water pump, and as you can see, Quicksilver, OEM, there's the part number. DIYers, stay away from aftermarket. If you have the opportunity or chance to purchase OEM, I strongly encourage you and recommend you to do that. Down below in the comments and description will be a link for this exact water pump. Here it is opened up. As you see, again, OEM, brand new, and it has a brand new gasket, as well as instructions. Here it is removed from the packaging and box, again, brand new OEM Quicksilver or Mercury brand. To the backside or portion of the water pump that feeds inside the engine and directs water flow, as you see, as the pulley spins with the bell, it spins the inner blade here, and again, pushes water and cools the engine properly. To a quick comparison of the old on the right and brand new water pump on the left. We've made our way inside to the table, and in front of us again is the brand new water pump. And the brand new water pump has a plug. Don't pay any attention to that. We don't actually have to do anything with it. And a brand new fitting or portion that the water hose will go onto. And this little tab right there is where we will push the hose all the way on and flush with that tab and secure it with the clamp. However, coming to the back side and give you a different view. And DIYers, this hole right here, very important. That needs to stay open to allow proper water flow. And bringing in the gasket, here's how it is going to go on, as you see right there. And we've got 4 bolts, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And again, this has to stay open. Next, I will shift that to the side. And down below, again, will be a link to this red high temp RTV. This is specifically for gasket maker and sealant, and works wonderful with water pumps. And DIYers, buy a brand new tube. And what I mean by that is don't just pull your red RTV sealant that you've had for 10 years out of the toolbox and apply it to the gasket. Again, buy brand new and clip away the tip. And all I'm going to do is fill that up and again, apply RTV sealant to the gasket. And do your absolute best not to get sloppy with it. I've got it cut at an angle. And what we're going to do is basically run it all the way around every single bolt hole. Right now, you may want to allow it to dry for about 5 minutes, allow it to get a little more tacky, and after that we will position the water pump back in place. From there, ever so slowly and carefully bringing in the gasket. And carefully aligning it, as you see. Don't compress it too hard. Make sure that the holes are properly aligned. From there, we will apply gasket on this side. Coming up to a top view, DIYers, don't get sloppy with it. That's one of my pet peeves, sloppiness with sealant or silicone gasket maker. Use a little 5-pound weight to support the water pump as I apply that gasket maker or RTV. Back in the boat, and ever so carefully, time to resecure the water pump to the block. And again, that hole up top cannot be obstructed or blocked. Go slow, be precise. And in addition, one more thing before we secure this pump. In our case, to your left and our starboard side were the 2 longer bolts, and on the port side, the 2 smaller ones. And I am going to insert one of the bolts, as you see. Ever so carefully, insert the pump. Align the bolt. Begin the thread, followed by the left. After you hand tighten them, we are going to begin tightening these in a star pattern, meaning top left, lower right, top right, lower left. That's going to help properly seat the sealant and gasket. Do not over tighten these, but you want them snug. After securing all 4 bolts, double check everything, and if all looks good, which in our case it does, we are going to resecure the hose onto the water fittings. Making our way port side and to a close-up view of the newly installed water pump and DIYers. Again, do not over tighten these bolts. You do not want those bolts snapping inside the block. That would be a nightmare. In addition, before we install the pulley, bring the belt on the outer portion of the alignment and up, as you see right there. In addition, ensure no debris is inside your harmonic balancer pulley down below. 2 different camera angle, and before we install the pulley, I do want to point out 8 threaded holes, and that allows this pump to be universal for a block of years on this engine. However, ensure your belt is up and coming in with the pulley carefully. Bring the belt up and into the pulley, and ever so carefully rotate it until the holes match up, and in our case, there are the holes, followed by securing all 4 half-inch bolts. Hand tight to start. Followed by grabbing the half-inch ratchet and socket and holding the pulley and tightening these in a star pattern. Do not over tighten these either. Back to a starboard top view, and we are going to tighten each of those bolts with the impact wrench. After installing the pulley, I like to come down and align the belt accordingly to ensure that the belt is feeding off of the pulley we just installed, as well as feeding into the harmonic balancer. If it's offset like this, that's not good. You'll snap a belt. Making our way port side, and the next thing we are going to do, we are going to resecure that belt and apply the tension. And again, down below are links to tools. Camera in position, I'm going to carefully loosen up this half-inch bolt, and you can see the alternator begin to shift. And in our case, again, we do actually have to fully remove it. Set that aside, shift it up, bring the belt onto the alternator pulley, and ensure that the belt is properly looped on the upper pulley and down and around the harmonic balancer, which it is. From here, coming in with the pry bar, and make sure you get a good grip of it, and pressing it out, and applying the tension. Do not cross thread this tension bolt. Hand tight, you want about 1/4 inch in our case. And check the tension. From here down below to secure the long bolt that feeds through the bracket, as well as the rear nut. Down below, and again, don't over tighten it, but you want it snug. Coming up, and a front view of the alternator, and again, make sure the belt is properly looped around the respective pulleys. And before we reintroduce power or electricity to the engine, double check, triple check, even quadruple check everything. At this point, electrical power has been reintroduced or supplied to the system, and what we did first was carefully install and secure the red positive, followed by the black